Idiot.
Hennes La Tormenta Mendez! In the red corner, with a record of 28 wins, 4 defeats, 1 draw, 14 of those wins via the knockout. And of Mexico City, Mexico. In that red corner, Martin El Brochas Honorio!
All right, so the referee, Tom Russell, will call the combatants into the center of the ring.
One corner.
Tom Russell, I know him as Pat Russell. The ex-Marine Pat Russell is in there. That's our referee. You must know him a different way than I have. I've known Pat, a fellow Irishman, for about 20 years. Was a great Marine and a great referee. So, all right, so we're set to go. Colonel Bob Sheridan here with Dave Bontempo. Our principals, Martin Honorio, decked out in the black and white. And in the blue trunks is Hennes Mendez from the Dominican Republic. And again, the third man in the ring, Pat Russell, one of the great referees and a former Marine. So he's in charge. Here we go, round number 1. This is scheduled for 12 rounds. It's the USBA Junior Lightweight Championship at 130 pounds. Honorio has fought for the world title a couple of times against William Abellan and against Robert the Ghost Guerrero. Those are 2 of his 4 losses to world champs. This kid's a world-class fighter in his own right. He can fight. I haven't seen Hennes Mendez, but I know if he was on the 2004 Dominican Olympic team that he can fight too. The book on him, he's got all the tools. He can box, he can punch, he's got good hand speed. He's supposed to be very smart in the ring. He's always trying to develop more power to win those close rounds that he's been victimized. He's never been beyond 9 rounds in his career, so this is a step up in class, taking on a man who's taken on world champions before. You'll notice that Honorio, Dave, is a very technical fighter, very smart fighter. He'll push his jab out there by driving off the back foot. He'll double with the jab. He'll throw his right hand behind it. He's a very good boxer, and he's got deceptive defense from time to time. Let's see if he can execute it against the very, very experienced amateur fighter who has turned pro 16 fights ago. He's in his 17th fight now. Honorio tries to pick up the pace here and nail him.
So Honorio has the edge in opposition, and whatever he learned in those fights to the champions that he can bring in here will be an edge for him in this contest.
Usually Honorio is a taller fighter, but in this case against Mendez, in spite of the fact that he's 5'10" and a half and has been listed in BoxRec and places like that as 5'11", Mendez is 5'11", so he's got a half-inch advantage in reach. They both came in at 130 pounds. Honorio has more experience as a professional. He's 7 years older at 30-23. And it's funny to look at the way these guys are built. Mendez actually has a 3-inch advantage in reach for 2 guys that are the same height. That's kind of extraordinary. Honorio's coming off a win his last time out. He went 12 rounds over Wilton Hilario in Temecula, California, down the road here for the NABO 135-pound title. They're fighting at 130 pounds tonight, so hypothetically you should have some more power. And Mendez is coming off an 8-round unanimous decision win over Marek Chule in Chicago. So they're both coming off wins, and they both want to keep putting him in the win column because you're not making a lot of money fighting for the USBA Junior Lightweight Championship. They want to fight for world title.
Now what they're getting here is television exposure, and a lot of the big officials in Boxing Network officials tuning into this and paying attention. So this is a big audition for both.
By the way, I know Manny Pacquiao is watching in the Philippines tonight, so we want to say hello to Manny. We wish him very, very the best because the election, I believe, is on Monday. He'll have the results to find out if he's a new elected official in the Philippines. And what's more important is Honorio blasts away at Mendez at the closing bell. Is that Freddie Roach is here, and Freddie told me, hey, we're going to put this fight together. He's gonna fight Mayweather one way or the other. So that's great. I'm glad to hear that. Manny, I hope you enjoy watching this fight tonight. We look forward to seeing you over here to fight for the world title against Floyd Mayweather Jr. That's what everybody wants to see. And hey, by the way, kiddo, another $40 million after what you spent on the election will help you out.
Watch the heads coming in. I don't want a headbutt, okay?
Pat Russell just won the corner to watch the hands coming in.
They check in at the end of the round. Honorio pumping his hands in. Some get blocked, some get in, but he gets the edge in initiative.
All right, this is round number 2, scheduled for 10 rounds here at the Home Depot Center. This is scheduled for 12 rounds. It's the USBA lightweight championship fight for 12 rounds at the Home Depot Center here in Carson, California. The Colonel Bob Sheridan with Dave Bontempo, and we're thrilled to have you with us. Honorio, very good boxer. You saw in the first round. He's in the black trunks with the silver trim, and in the light blue with the gray, probably looks white on your screen, the gray trim is the fellow from the Dominican Republic, in Enes Mendez.
Well, they're both battling with the left hooks here. A lot of the shots by Honorio blocked here by Mendez as he tries to get the edge in getting off first, and Mendez landed a couple of good cracking hooks to the body.
And just, you said to the body, okay, Dave, because just as you said that, as it was coming out of your mouth, it must have been flying off of his glove because it buried it in the solar plexus of Martin Honorio, who took a wicked body shot that time. Mendez reaches with the jab this time, but he doesn't throw his jab properly. He has a wide stance when he throws his jab, and he reaches out, so you get no power with the jab like that. He's got to get that back foot up and come forward off the back foot too. And Honorio with the, the shots inside and outside. He'll hook to the head, he'll hook to the body, but he's got to get back to his jab too and set up his right hand, because if he's going to dump this guy, it's going to be a right hand power shot. He's got 14 knockouts in his 28 victories as Martin Honorio.
And he just got nailed coming in as he tried to walk in and then load up a right hand, and the left hook by Mendez greeted him.
Mendez is fighting a fighter that's a very smart fighter. This is a step up in class for Mendez, and so far he's doing a nice job. These are two very cerebral fighters out there. They know how to box.
And Mendez making Honorio miss a lot, missing flurries of shots over the top of the head, and then he tries to establish a tight position inside and score with the counter.
Martin, in previous fights that I've seen him in, has a nice jab, and he's not using it tonight, Dave. He's almost exclusively using that hook when he comes in. He'll hook downstairs, he'll hook back upstairs, and you know what's happening? Mendez has got his hands high, and he's counterpunching him because he's got quick hands.
What happens, Honorio comes in, thinks he's got some early success with power shots, so he's loading up with the hooks, he's loading up from the side, and the fight gets into a power mode, and a guy can get out of his jabbing mode when he thinks the power shots are available to him. We can break down a fight, but these guys, not being robots, fight on emotion sometimes, and that's what we've seen so far from Honorio.
Closing seconds in round 2. I think Mendez has out-hustled him in this round and at least scored more effective punches. So it's a good round for Mendez. I thought that Honorio won the first round and Mendez the second round. This is Enes Mendez corner, as you can see. Johan Guzman, the former champion there, with James M. Cordova, and Joe Chavez is the cut man in there.
Como tiren los golpes, mi chavo, 3, 4, pero duros, duro, mijo. Cantillas abajo, duro. ¿Ok? Dale, pues. Presiónalo más, presiónalo más. Y inteligente, órale. Inteligente. Round 3.
All right, we're coming up to round 3 in the scheduled 12-round affair for the 130-pound USBA Junior Welterweight Championship. What all those numbers mean? Well, if you win this title, you win the NABO, you win the Fedelatin titles, it usually means that you're going to be ranked in about the top 15 in your division by whatever the sanctioning body that you're involved with. And so these championships, while they don't mean a lot to the fans and some of the networks in the United States, they mean a lot to the fighters and can lead to title shots, so they are important.
And you can become the optional title defense if you're ranked number 13 to 15, where a guy can take you on and you're not the mandatory challenger. So you get a chance where the champion will notice you and maybe even overlook you because you're ranked near the bottom of the actual world rankings. And of course, go ahead and tell a fighter that the belt doesn't mean much.
Yeah, exactly. These guys who, and I've seen it happen on 5 different occasions on fights that I've called where the men have actually died in the ring, and another one in the case of Gerald McClellan that I talked about a little bit earlier was maimed in the ring. So this is the hurt business, and it's a dangerous sport. So, you know, it thrills these kids to win a belt and win a title and get the money that goes with it. More power to them. I got tremendous admiration for prize fighters. It's a tough racket. And so few of them actually make any money, you know, until they get up and get recognized with world titles. There's so many more fighters fighting than really getting any kind of money to make a living at.
There's really no middle class for boxing. You're either getting the millions or you're getting the peanuts as you try to get up into the millions.
Round number 3 at Carson, California, this terrific venue, the Home Depot Center, as it continues to fill up with the anticipation of our main event of the evening, Paul Williams against Kermit Cintron. 4 world titles between the two of them, 55 total knockouts between the two of them. So we expect sparks to fly, and wherever you're watching around the world, we're glad that you can be with us.
Mendez doing a nice job with the counter shots to the body in this round as well, and he's scoring them in punitive fashion.
Had a couple of news notes tonight that Freddie Roach is here and thinks that they can put together the fight between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather Jr. That's great news to hear that. Freddie says this fight can be made. And then we had the other announcement that Kevin Barry, the Olympic silver medalist from New Zealand and former trainer of David Tua from New Zealand, as a champion, and Bebut Shumanov, the WBA light heavyweight champ, and he signed with Dan Goosen. So they're going to have that fight. So we've got a couple of those things going on. Round 3 is almost by the boards here. And there's the bell to end the round 3. I'm going to give that one to Mendez. I thought he was a little bit more successful and landed more power shots than Honorio. So we got him out in front, slightly out in front in the fight.
See the toughest fighters in MMA in a whole new light.
I had to show my true heart.
MMA 30 is your window into their lives.
These are my horses, my childhood house.
My judo is a huge asset for me.
An exclusive all-access pass.
We're here for his bachelor party.
With your favorite stars of the sport.
I would be known as one of the greatest.
Watch MMA 30 only on Fight Sports.
The moment has arrived. The electricity, you can feel it.
Both men are ready to all hang out. This crowd has erupted. My goodness, this is fun to watch.
That's crazy.
I mean, this is like military.
You want to fight with me?
This is gonna be a rough 5 days. I'm Jimmy Smith, a professional mixed martial arts fighter and former math teacher from LA. I don't need a warm-up. I'm set.
I'm Doug Anderson, an Iraq war veteran and rookie fighter from New Jersey. This is our Fight Quest.
Watch Fight Quest, only on Fight Sports.
Comes to its feet, champion of the world.
Don't miss mega fights every night at 6, only on Fight Sports.
Y no me baje la guardia.
Martín, tenés como tienes la oportunidad de meter la presión, trata de recuperar las cuerdas. Y ahí mismo, pum, 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 las ganchos y opres,
Sí, pues cuando tengas ahí, mijo, aprovecha, no tienes un solo golpe. Tú primero, Tú primero, mijo, todo el tiempo.
No dejes que se meta en pelea. No dejes que se meta en pelea.
All right, so we come up to round number 4 at the Home Depot Center in Carson, California, in this beautiful outdoor venue here in Southern California. And just an absolutely beautiful evening without a cloud in the sky here. It cooled off a bit, so it's a lot more comfortable for the fighters than it was about an hour ago here, where the sun was beating down and some of our preliminary fighters in the early fights that were staged here this evening. By the time we get to the Paul Williams-Citron fight, it'll be perfect for them. Maybe a little cool for some of the people here in attendance. It's a nice night. This is round 4, and again, Mendez starts up landing some decent heavy shots as Martino Norio in the black with the silver trim comes in. He's going back to trying to jab more, but he's not getting anything behind his jab right now, not holding this guy off.
Now, and this is a fight in which each guy has had success going to the body. They're getting warned here, maybe the final one, but they are getting good power shots in against each other, and sometimes that can make you forget to jab.
Now, Pat Russell is a referee that when he gives a warning like that, it's a hard warning that he just gave, because he said, next time I will take points out. He wants to keep this fight under control, because at some stage, these guys are going to really break out into a war here. And with that left-hand body shot right on the borderline by Mendez to Honorio's body, he really ripped him. And it was a legal punch, but right on the borderline. And there's one back by Honorio that's a borderline shot too. So there's a lot of them in here to the body. Of course, right below where you see the belts, they have protectors. In fact, Mendez, you can see his coming out of his shorts. So if he hits him on those shorts, it's not going to do a lot of damage. Lennox Lewis, the way he used to wear his up underneath his armpits, I mean, you couldn't beat Lennox to the body.
Hey, as long as they'll allow it, you put the trunks up as high as you can.
You bet. And Lennox, a very smart guy. He knew how to fight and knew what to do to protect himself, and that's all part of it. Those had to be obviously custom made for Lennox to fit the way they did. He was a great champ in his day. This is round 4 here in Carson, California. Martino Norio trying to get the last 40 seconds going his way so he can win this round. We've had 3 fairly close rounds. Dave, you and I thought that Honorio won the first round and that Mendez probably getting it on the score sheets for the second and third round. And this one's a little bit more on the even side, isn't it?
And these guys are both doing a nice job with their body punching. It's kind of fun to watch and try to get the idea who's going to break out of this comfort mode first and change the stylistic view of this fight.
Closing 10 seconds of round 4 and a fairly even 4th round. I really couldn't go one way or the other. You got a favorite in this round? Look at this! As they battle to the bell.
I'll lean to Honorio for aggressiveness, but I think that's also got a capability of being split.
We'll see how it comes down. I agree with you, because usually when I can't make up my mind, you have one judge go one way and one the other way. So I'm just going to put it down here 10-10 and try and keep our scoring in line with the way the judges will probably have it. Little slight cut up there in the eye now, you see.
No extrañas nada.
No, la nariz.
These guys have done a good job to the body in this fight. And there's Mendez landing it. Nice form, just over the belt. And then here's Honorio coming back. Some get in, some get gloves. But it's all aggressive.
All right, so Martin Honorio has a little slit by the right eye that they worked on in between rounds for him. Daniel Mota does also his trainer, but Mota is also his cut man over there with Hector Saldiva, and Nigel Burns work the corner of Honorio. All right, this is round number 5 at Carson, California, the Home Depot Center. Our principals again, Martin Honorio in the black and silver, and in the blue and gray is Hennis Mendez of the beautiful Dominican Republic. Ever traveled down there, and I know we have a lot of viewers that are big fight fans in the Dominican. The Dominican Republic is on the island of Hispaniola, which is the same island across the border. Well, we had that terrible, terrible situation with the earthquake, and people staged to go over and help the Haitians, which is the same physical island, but a different country on the other end. And they did a lot of the staging from the Dominican Republic to help those poor people down in Haiti. Anyway, this is round number 5. The Dominican fighter in the blue, the Mexican fighter in the black just took a hellacious left hook to the side of the head and gobbled it up. Look at the eyes, Dave, of Mendez. He's really clear, really has an idea what he's doing in there. But Martin has a tendency to drop his head down, and I'm afraid that there's going to be, these heads are going to come together before this is all over.
Well, he's timing the left hook off the right hand of Honorio, and he's comfortable anticipating when that right hand is going to be thrown and then when he can fire his hook. And he's got this good view of it, focused on that particular thing. If you're Honorio, you don't want to get hit with that. Double jab on your way in, that will take care of that problem. But this is a good, gritty battle because both guys have pretty good ideas of how to score.
And they're both, as I mentioned a round or two ago, they're both heady sort of guys. These guys study, they're students of this game of boxing. It's not just all wild punching with these guys. They can fight. They can jab, they can throw body shots, they can throw nice short, crisp hooks. But Martin in general has got to do more jabbing his way in instead of hooking his way in. When you hook your way in and move forward, you're going to get countered with either a short jab or a lead right hand. You're going to get caught coming in. So it can be kind of dangerous the way he's fighting right now. And because of that, Mendez is, I think, slightly out in front of this fight. Although Honorio's having a pretty good 5th round here.
Well, he's firing a lot of side shots. His jab has not been effective. He doesn't snap it out at all, and he trusts other punches to come in with, and that's unusual.
Well, you know, when I first saw him when he was coming along and he first turned pro, and I saw him fight, I don't know, half a dozen times in Tijuana and a couple more times at the Orleans Hotel in Las Vegas. He had a terrific jab, and he looks like he's abandoned it here. All right, the bell ends. A decent 5th round where these guys are working very, very hard for you. I think Honorio out-hustled him in that round.
Tú coges para la soga, lo está dejando meter en pelea. No, si tú lo mantienes con el jab. No, olvídate de esa vaina. Deja de estar cogiendo soga, no coja soga. No coja soga, Él está desesperado, tiene la boca abierta. Ahora, cuando baje, le echa más hielo a esto, Ahora, de ahí le echa más hielo a esto.
Honorio is pushing the issue, but Mendez in a counter-punching mode, scoring well. That was a nice hook as he was backed up, and then the right hand behind that.
All right, we go to the 6th round. My score sheet, which is unofficial. Davey's pretty much in line with it this time. 48-48 as we go to the 6th round. This is scheduled for 12 rounds. Martin Honorio, very tough Mexican kid in the black trunks, and in the blue trunks is Hennis Mendez of the Dominican Republic.
Well, what this is going to boil down to, Colonel, as the rounds unfurl, is what will Mendez get in terms of a reward as a counterpuncher from these judges? He's been content to counterpunch the last couple rounds. If he stays in that mode, it's a difficult way to win. He's effective that way sometimes, but it's a difficult way to win.
Well, one thing he did in that series of punches, Martin, see what he's doing now to the body, and then every once in a while, he's not hurting Mendez right now, and Mendez will come back and he'll sit down on a punch and really nail him with power shots. Those are power shots back. But that whole series, look at these loading up shots. This is a great little battle here. Wow, look at these guys going at it.
It's Honorio emptying his his gun barrel here on Mendez, and then Mendez firing shots back, and the percentage of his punches, quality shots, are better than Honorio, but Honorio has high numbers, so they're negating each other.
You would think so, but you know, when you talk to professional judges, they'll tell you if a guy is just firing and he's landing a few of his shots, I'm going to give him more credit for at least his offensive hustle than I'm going to give the guy who lands 1 or 2 punches during the course of that. So there are certain judges that whole series, even though I thought that Mendez's punches in there were the 2 that he landed during all that were much more effective than anything that Honorio did. But that's the way professional judges explain to me that they score fights.
And that's how this fight breaks down right now, because with Mendez as the counterpuncher, this is the judicial dilemma that we're going to see in terms of the scoring, unless the styles change.
Honorio is trying to out-hustle this guy, and he's been out-hustling him in the 5th round, and here in the 6th round, he's backing him into the corner. And while Mendez, as Dave pointed out to you, is satisfied a counterpunch, he gotta start getting off first. He needs to get off first now instead of just catching, because Martin will never stop throwing punches. This guy, no matter what happens to him, he's going to be throwing.
If you are content to be a counterpuncher, instead of saying landing 50% of your punches to win a fight, you'll have to win 60 to 65%.
And last week we had the pleasure of calling the Floyd Mayweather-Shane Mosley fight, and if ever there was a counterpuncher at Floyd Mayweather, the best, absolutely the best I've seen, going back to perhaps the greatest I ever saw, was Ricardo Lopez, the Hall of Famer, but nobody knows Ricardo in spite of the fact he's in the Hall of Fame because he fought at 105 pounds from Mexico. What a great fighter he was. All right, so the bell ends the 6th round. I think Honorio gets that because I thought he out-hustled him.
Did out-hustle him.
But there's a case that judges could have given it to Mendez because he hit some power shots.
When you see the replays, you might see more Mendez replays.
Yeah. Based on the last couple rounds now, Dave, I've got Honorio slightly out in front unofficially in this fight, but it's too close to call, really, because the rounds are very close. But we have got the next 6 rounds to go in this fight. Now we're at the halfway point. It's almost dead even.
Bien bajito, mijo, bajito, no te pares, bien bajito, ¿ok? Del 8 para arriba en otra pelea, acuérdate que no ha subido del 8, ya está corriendo, pero bien vivo, Martín, no te confíes, tú primero.
Here's that discussion in miniature about this fight. More punches from Honorio, better punches in tight here from Mendez.
Frank Belmont, who's directing the show tonight, cut that perfectly for us. A lot of credit to our videotape guys and our slow-mo replay guys, because that told the story exactly. All of those punches, and it's exactly what I was trying to explain. And then in the end of all of those punches, you saw Mendez snap the head of Honorio with a real good left hook. Whether that's enough to give him the round or not, that's what the judges will have to determine. But these rounds are close right now, and good action from both of these guys. Both consummate professionals. Both of these guys know how to fight. They really know how to box, and they're heady guys in the ring. This is round 7, Home Depot Center, Carson, California. Starting to cool off nicely now for the fighters especially. There's that long right hand now, Mendez. Remember, Mendez has 3 inches in reach advantage, and so far, Davey hasn't used it.
And here's another paradox for him. He's fighting a guy who's got 14 knockouts in 33 fights. It's not a big knockout record. For Mendez, what is the sense of being a counterpuncher? You're not in with a huge puncher. You might as well try to get out in front and be the puncher yourself, and give yourself more opportunities to punch, and give yourself a little bit more margin of error on the scorecards. It's one thing if a guy's coming in and he's so strong that you want to see him use his power against himself. But for Mendez, this fight does not fit that description.
And Pat Russell has told him, hey, no more holding on and hitting in there. I'm not going to allow it anymore, because every once in a while he'll whack him in the back of the head. And I'll tell you one thing, in the state of California and the state of Florida, they're real serious about hitting guys in the back of the head. And Pat Russell again wanted, watch your heads, watch your heads. But that's the style of the Mexican fighter. Honorio comes in with his head down. And because of that, Mendez is actually out hustling him in this round now. Well, this is a seesaw battle back and forth. Oh, do you see him walk in that straight right hand, Dave? And then the uppercut inside. Somebody in the corner of Mendez must have said, hey, you better pick it up and get off first. Maybe they heard us, I don't know. But we're in the corner of Mendez because he's reacting different in this round.
He still sees Honorio coming to him and sees the ring quite clearly, and he can counter, and it's effective for him. He'll have to mix in some lead work with that, though, as a safety measure.
This is round 7, closing 20 seconds of the scheduled 12-rounder for the USBA junior lightweight. That's a 130-pound championship of the world. USBA, if you want to call it the world championship, is actually the USBA championship, to be technically correct. And here's Martin with the head down, and he's, because of that, at the bell at the end of round 7, I think Mendez wins that round.
He does.
So if the judges agree with Davey Boy and I, this fight's dead even after 7.
Finally, one destination for fight fans around the world. Fight Sports covers it all, delivering thrilling entertainment and news now in the palm of your hand. Stay on top of breaking news, special press conferences, and exclusive interviews with your favorite fighters. Get updates so you don't miss another live event. Discover what over 1 million fans already have, and join all the excitement on your favorite social platform. Be a part of the action and follow us at Fight Sports. Watch mixed martial arts every night at 11, only on Fight Sports. Check out Breaking Weapons Freestyle, only on Fight Sports.
Hey, I'm Ryan Bader, Bellator's light heavyweight and heavyweight champion, and you're watching Fight Sports.
Good morning, Starblers, and a huge welcome. Our program comes to you live from the spectacular Prince Moulay Abdullah. Welcome to Fukuoka, Japan. Over 600 athletes from 63 countries. The who's who of karate. Oh my goodness.
Watch Karate One Premier League on Fight Sports.
Watch sumo like it's never been seen before. The home to the best sumo. Watch Grand Sumo every weeknight at 9:30 on Fight Sports.
See the toughest fighters in MMA in a whole new light.
I had to show my true heart.
MMA 30 is your window into their lives.
These are my horses, my childhood house.
My judo is a huge asset for me.
An exclusive all-access pass.
We're here for his bachelor party.
With your favorite stars of the sport.
I would be known as one of the greatest.
Watch MMA 30, only on Fight Sports.
Finally, one destination for fight fans around the world. Fight Sports covers it all, delivering thrilling entertainment and news now in the palm of your hand. Stay on top of breaking news, special press conferences, and exclusive interviews with your favorite fighters. Get updates so you don't miss another live event. Discover what over 1 million fans already have, and join all the excitement on your favorite social platform. Be a part of the action and follow us at Fight Sports.
Had the fight dead even after 5, now dead even after 7. 5 rounds to go.
Stop this behind the head. Have him watch that elbow, okay? Because he slides it in on top. I don't want the elbow to be a problem. I understand. No.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's the warning coming in with a forearm. The referee jumps in, not going to allow that. And a hard warning. You don't want to lose a point from that standpoint. And then here comes Mendez comfortable against the ropes. He leans in, finds some power, and scores the uppercut. Trust us, it happened.
So we go to round number 8. Pat Russell has warned both fighters about certain tactics. The last warning came to Mendez, and Pat knows that this is a very close fight, so he doesn't want to take points away, but it's his job to make sure that the fight stays clean. He's doing a great job. Pat Russell's one of the great referees in boxing, and he has a lot of experience, a lot of championship fights, and it shows in a fight like this where both guys are so determined. They don't want to fight dirty, Dave. It's just that they're determined and they get the grit, you know?
They want to get an edge.
Yeah,
and you dig down, you try to get a little bit more positioning at the edge, and it's
tough because every round is close, and every one of these little mini battles, little mini wars are close. It's a series of these mini battles as they engage, one guy trying to take it away from the other guy, and they both want it bad. These both guys, as I mentioned, on 2 or 3 occasions, are very smart fighters in the ring. They know what they're doing in there, and they're cagey and slick, and it's hard, as Dave said, to get the edge. And this Patty gets a watch the elbow, you know? And again, that's him trying to get the edge as opposed to being a dirty fighter. These are fighters.
Honorio is trying to jab his way in, punch his way in, and then tie up and try to win that little exchange. In the meantime, Mendez fired a subtle little shoulder to the jaw that didn't get seen. So there's a lot of stuff happening on the inside that is just being let go, and the fighters will decide it themselves.
Both of these men had extensive amateur careers. Martin Honorio had 67 amateur fights and had 60 wins. Mendez had over 100, was on the 2004 Olympic team for the Dominican Republic, so they have extensive amateur backgrounds. Martin is 30 years of age, 7 years older than young Mendez, and he's got 28 victories, 4 losses and a draw, 14 knockouts. Mendez has a higher knockout ratio. He's 15-1 with 9 KOs, so he's got more power.
But they're both in the moderate puncher category.
Yeah, they're not big punches. They're guys that against lesser opponents. And these guys, by the way, are very evenly matched, so it makes for a terrific fight.
And neither guy should be bothered by the other guy's power because they're in the same power range together. And we're seeing Mendez more in a lead punching role in this round, jabbing more and getting off first.
Well, it seemed like he went to sleep in the, not to sleep, but just wasn't aggressive in the 6th and 7th round where he totally wanted a counterpunch. And here in the 8th round, he's trying to do what we said he needs to do, and that's get off first against Honorio, who doesn't like to take steps backwards. Martin comes at you all the time. He's coming at you, trying to stay on you. And slick footwork by Mendez to avoid the shot and counterpunch him on the inside. Nice hand speed. This is good stuff, folks. Closing seconds of the 8th. There's your bell, and that is a Mendez round.
Yes, it is.
So Mendez has won the last 2 rounds unofficially again. And now, as opposed to a couple of rounds ago, Honorio being a point ahead on my score sheet, I've got Mendez ahead by a point. So it's a nice fight. 4 rounds to go.
Se acabó esto. Tú te ves entero. Él no tiene más talento que tú. Cométeme la obediencia. Va. Es combinaciones. Jálale. Tú puedes.
Honorio tried to press the attack and launched a big right hand. Just missed there as Mendez rolled with it properly. And then on the countering shot, 2 jabs and a right hand. Does an effective job there. That's a nice round for him.
All right, we're coming up to round 9 in Carson, California. Martin Honorio, and a very close fight here in the black and white from Mexico City, and Hennes Mendez from the Dominican Republic in the blue and gray. We're in round 9 now. This is scheduled for 12, the USBA 130-pound championship. Colonel Bob Sheridan here with Dave Bontempo. Hope you're enjoying it wherever you're watching in the some 70 countries around the world that are taking this fight. And the big one is coming up, but yet to come, as Paul Williams takes on Kermit Citron. Williams, a 3-time world champ, and Citron, a former IBF welterweight champ as well. 2 terrific fighters. Pat continues to keep this fight under control. That's the Marine in him, Dave. You can't mess with the Marine.
And the good thing is he hasn't taken any points. So he can give all the warnings, which is important, And at this stage, more than likely, it will take something flagrant for him to take a point.
I don't like this leaning in like this. I know what Mendez is trying to do. He's trying to pull a Roy Jones or Mayweather trap to sucker this guy in, but you never want to expose your chin. What was it there a few years ago that he stuck his chin out and knocked out he was at the fight? I forget who it was, but
watch your head, step out.
It was an interesting thing to see. Guys cruising along and did just what this guy's doing now, sticking that chin out there.
Well, it just happened with Lucian Butte and Edison Miranda.
That's right, that's right. That's the one I was thinking of, as a matter of fact. You see, again, Mendez now appears to be getting off first and landing heavier blows right now. And if the judges see it the way we're seeing it, he's not only crept back into the fight, but he's like creeping ahead right now.
And you could see a little human element coming over Mendez here. He's had 2 nice rounds in a row, and now he's trying to extend it a little bit. He's trying to extend it by, talking to Honorio, dropping his hands, and getting into a more explosive rhythm, something to expand himself. And it's not easy for that to work for him, but it's part of the emotion of this game.
Neither fighter has been down. Nobody's really been shaken. It's been a really good boxing match. People say they want to see good boxing. This is good boxing, folks. And if you're an aficionado of the sport, you don't really need Davey and I to tell you that it's good boxing. You can see it for yourself. This is good stuff. By the way, Mendez is in the 9th round. He's never been beyond 9 rounds in his career. So this is interesting territory for Mendez. Again, I don't like the way he has his hands down right now, but he's got sort of a 2nd or 3rd wind. He's confident with his foot speed that he can duck away from Honorio, but get the hands up. Yeah, see him in the sneaky right hand lead that time. That's exactly what he was trying to do, sucker Honorio in and then nail him with the right hand. Very effective for Mendez. And Mendez has had another nice round. Now, Honorio, the aggressor through much of the round, but not effective aggressor. And that's what it scored on. Well, Mendez done a nice job out hustling this guy right now. I got an 87-85 for Mendez unofficially.
Tira tu jab y luego métele la derecha por dentro. No lo esperes, mijo, no lo esperes. Y cuando tengas combina, no nomás de un solo golpe.
Chavo, cuando tires tus golpes tienes que estar bien adentro,
Métete adentro.
Estás tirando tus golpes muy afuera. Ándale,
now, is this fatigue, Dave, or are these cheap shots? Let's see in the replay as they come up for us.
Well, there have been warnings, but they know the referee is on it. That's cheap. Yeah, and fortunately for him, nothing else. And that behind the head in Mendez was smart. They say protect yourself at all times.
Get that
he saw
hand
something
right up
bad
there.
coming, and he was able to stop it.
In fairness to Honorio, he didn't let the punch go. I mean, something like that can be an instant disqualification. That's the last thing you want, because this is a good fight. We get 3 rounds to go, and if you go back to that 4th round that we scored even because we expected that some judges go one way or the other, this fight is actually dead even though unofficially we get Mendez slightly out in front of this fight. Let's see how these last 3 rounds unfold here at the Home Depot Center in Carson, California. Again, Honorio turns his shoulder to the side and exposes the right side of his head, and Mendez right on top of him, blasts it. Get a little bit more power. You drop guys of lesser ability.
We've seen 5 good shots here from Mendez, and what's different about what was happening earlier is he would let Honorio get all the way to him and then counter. Here, he countered, but as Honorio was coming to him, he picked him off on the outside in a countering mode, and instead of landing 1 shot, he landed 5. So he became a more aggressive counterpuncher, is what he did in that last instance.
And is Honorio, again, working hard, Dave, but not effectively, because he's inside here, he's pounding to the side, and not landing anything heavy. He's got to pull back, sit down on his punches, and let fly with that right hand. He's so concentrating and throwing so many more hooks, and even his right hands are hook-ish, I should say, because they're looping right hands too. So you're not getting the power that Mendez has, but he's really working. He's actually out hustling Mendez right now.
And Mendez is landing all the significant shots in this round. All the significant damage has come from Mendez with clean shots as a counterpuncher.
Well, Honorio's corner had to tell him, hey, you better pick up the pace because this guy might be ahead of you on the score sheets right now. So he's trying to do that. But again, the effective shots are being landed by Mendez when he counters in here. Whether the judges will see that or not, of course, they're very experienced here in California. So a fighter's got as good a shot here as they do in Las Vegas or Florida or New York or, you know, the places where there's a lot of boxing. They get the best shot because the officials are more experienced.
Honorio is doing the hard work in this round, but Mendez is doing the smart work in this round. And he is catching him with the counter shots and tying up, and he has glided through his first round of novel territory very well. He hasn't been into the 10th round.
And I'm going to ask you the question at the end of this round, Dave, because this is one of those rounds that judges are going to go either way on, because this is exactly the type of round that we talked about earlier, where one guy is throwing a whole lot of stuff and the other guy's landed 3 or 4 or 5 maybe effective punches. The bell ends the 10th round. Who are you giving that round to?
Mendez, clear.
Okay,
clear
that's
because of the
I would have been
counter.
more up in the air. I would have been more up in the air. So you're clearly for Mendez, and with that, I'm going to, you know, I'll score it that way on that score sheet. But, you know, I'm leaning towards the aggressiveness of Honorio, even though I agree that Mendez is much more effective in his shots.
Entra tirando, no, entra tirando y acomodándote bien vivo, no experiencia los lugares que le puedes pegar, mijo. Si es que vas abajo, pégale con todo abajo.
Martín, como tienes en las cuerdas, no te...
By the way, they did a great job in the corner of Honorio, who was cut, slit sort of cut by the right eye back in the 4th round. It hasn't been a problem at all in the fight, not a factor at all. So unofficially, if the judges agree with Dave and I in that 10th round, it's unofficially 97-94 in favor of Mendez, meaning Honorio must have 11 at the Home Depot Center in Carson, California. Colonel Bob Sheridan here with Dave Bontempo. In the black trunks, Martin Honorio. He was cut in the 4th, but it hasn't been a factor. And in what really was a seesaw battle for most of the fight, and continues that way. Although Mendez has come back in the last 3 rounds to take them. He was even after 5. Honorio went ahead after 6, and then it was even after 7. And since then, we think that Mendez has eked out these last 3 rounds. But everything is close. This is round 11 in the scheduled 12-round fight. This is a territory where Honorio has been several times, and Mendez has never been. He's never been beyond the 9th round. So this is a good territory for him to try to win this championship tonight, the USBA 130-pound title.
And Honorio tried to press that situation and continues to try and do it here in round 11. And so for Mendez, trying to counterpunch his way to steal some action over these last 3 rounds, and for Honorio, it's to outwork Mendez and to take it that way.
He is outworking him, Dave, but it's ineffective. You know, he's hustling, but Mendez has been smarter. He's landed better shots. And you know, you see Honorio come in. Mendez just hit him with the uppercut on the way in. And again, I said these are very cerebral fighters. These are heady guys. They know how to fight. They know what they're looking for. They know what they're doing. And if you look in the eyes of Mendez, his eyes are really clear. He's really watching what he's doing in this. This is so much more than, you know, a street fight. You know, this is professional boxing and very good professional boxing.
Good pace, good technique from both guys as Honorio comes in squared up for a little while. Major difference between this round and last is Honorio is pressuring like he did last round. Mendez caught him with several flush, glaring good counter shots in the last round and hasn't been able to do it in this round.
Therefore, Honorio's aggressiveness in this round could give him this round with 42 seconds to go, unless Mendez can crack him with a good shot to, you know, catch the eyes of the judge. And that's what he's trying to do right now.
And that's the risk you run as a counterpuncher. For Mendez, the risk, I think, paid off in round 10. In round 11, will not pay off for him.
But that's true when you say the risk for counterpunches. There's a lot of counterpunches, and there's only a handful that are very good at it, because when you have counterpunches in a fight, Dave, you have a lot of rounds that are very, very close. And they can lose rounds and lose fights because of the style. You know, back in the old days of the heavyweight division, there were fighters that would try to, you know, fight defensive fights against Muhammad Ali, and they just couldn't do it. And because Ali was so showy, and a lot of rounds were close, but because Ali was showy, he went in rounds. All right, that's the end of the 11th round. I think Honorio gets 11 on my score sheet.
2-3, Martín, pero con todo, bien macizo los golpes, Martín.
Entra tirando, amigo.
I have it 106, 104 going to the 12th and final round. Again, we had that even round back in the 4th, so that goes either way, and you got a very, very close fight. Watch these combinations by Honorio at the end of the round, Dave.
Comes surging in here. Blocks a shot. Good right hand there. And even though he's punching wide from the side, Mendez cannot counter. Honorio is just a little bit more on top of him that round.
This is the 12th and final round. This is a close fight, so both guys need this round. They got to put an exclamation point on it. Honorio and my score sheet would actually need a knockdown for a draw, but again, we had so many close rounds. This could be one way or the other, and it's going to go to the score sheets for sure, because I don't think either guy can knock the other guy down. They haven't done it through 11, and it doesn't appear they're going to do it in 12. So who wants it the most right now? Honorio starts out the way he started the 10th round and the way he continued in the 11th round. And now let's see if Mendez can get some real offensive work going here and land some significant punches to win this fight for himself.
Honorio, stop. Stop.
There's the right hand lead for Mendez as Honorio made himself a glaring southpaw. He'd been squaring up at certain instances in this fight, but he went full-fledged southpaw and gave Mendez a free shot.
No, punch in there. Stop, let him out. Let him go. Break. No. Punches up. Go arriba.
Digging body shots, and look at the power shot landed by Mendez. And all that stuff, Mendez landed more power shots in here, and Honorio actually has to hang on here. They're halfway through this 12th round. And again, Honorio, the busier fighter, I think the more effective fighter is Mendez for the first minute and 30 seconds of this last round. Honorio looks a little gassed right now, and if Mendez has a little bit more in the tank, he can hurt this guy. And he comes in, he bangs his head.
All right, free hand, stop, let him out.
Martinez is going to leave nothing in the ring. He's letting it all fly right now, and he's really exhausted. That's why he's awkward looking.
Look how he comes in, charging with his head to the side. It shows that for Honorio, there's nothing left in the tank, but this is where you'd want to be jabbing your way in, double jabbing your way in, and eliminating the possibility of being countered. When you come charging in, you're opening up the whole field for Mendez.
The only problem with that, Dave, and you're absolutely right, but the only problem is these guys are prize fighters. They're exhausted, and he's trying to do anything he can right now to be effective, and he really is not thinking like he will when he's watching the replay of this.
It's been something that's been there for the last 3 or 4 rounds regarding Honorio, just walking straight in with his head.
And Honorio's very loose in the knees, his thighs are heavy, his heels are heavy. Meanwhile, Mendez, you know, he's still fresh in his legs, and that's the difference of the two fighters right now. Mendez slickly moves away, he wants to end it with a nice combination, and he does. And look at the battle of the bell. No quit, either one of these fighters. They both want it. There's the bell, and I think that Mendez has pulled it out. I think he won that last round, and if he did, he's probably going to win the fight. We'll see.
And just one more factor. When we look at the tilt on our scorecards, the close rounds, more close rounds went to Honorio than Mendez anyway. So that's a little bit more of an optimistic viewpoint. If you're a Mendez fan.
Yeah, that's what you would call, Dave, a tell as the way the judges might be leaning. Okay, this was an interesting fight, and look at how it unfolded. Both of these guys get down to work in a hurry. This is Martino Norio in the black, landing some nice shots to the head of Mendez. Look at this, working hard, stealing that round. And then a little bit later on in the fight, you see that Mendez begins to catch up with Norio a little bit, lands his own combination. A little bit later now, here's Martino. This is the way the fight went, seesawing back and forth.
And then we saw the change as Mendez, who'd been the counterpuncher most of the way, then opened up a little bit, and then toward the end of the fight, stretching out from 9 to 12 rounds, made effective use of the ropes at times, counterpunched at least one of the last 3 rounds, maybe 2. So he stretched effectively from 9 to 12, and Norio, all the pressure he put on him. Now the question is, for coming forward for 12 rounds, is he going to be rewarded?
Well, eventually we scored it 116-113, but ours is only an indication of how we saw the fight. The judges will have the official score momentarily for you. Now, here's our ring announcer now. Vic Jacobs is set, so we will throw it to Vic to get the official rendition of this fight. Vic, take it away.
For the Warriors. Thank you. Posse Corazon. Judge Steve English has a 114 a draw. Judge Jonathan Davis and Judge Ralph McKnight have it 116, 112. Your USBA Junior Lightweight Champion out of the Dominican Republic, La Tormenta, Hennis Mendez!
Well, the judges, 2 of them anyway, had it almost exactly the way we did. 2 of the judges had it 116, 112, and the third judge had it 114, 114, which we expected with the even round that we gave, that it could be that close, and we had it 116, 113 to add an exclamation point for it. What we saw was a terrific fight, and we're going to see more of this Hennis Mendez, because he's a terrific little fighter.
Smart guy, counterpunched, took the hard way to win. He was able to do it, and he stretched out nicely from 9 to 12 rounds, and he had something in the tank when he needed to down the stretch. He was quite effective in 10, 11, and 12, so quite a nice performance by him.
The Gervonta Davis-Lamont Roach rematch, which was originally being targeted for June 21st, now has a new date, as the two will reportedly run it back on August 16th, following rumors that Davis needed more time to recover from their first fight, which ended in a controversial draw following Tank taking a knee that was wrongfully not ruled a knockdown. Another tight